Right now, in 2026, there are rockets being built that will carry the first humans to Mars within the next 4 years. Not decades, not centuries, for years. And the craziest part? We actually have a step-by-step plan to build entire cities on a dead planet with no breathable air, no liquid water, and radiation levels that would kill you in days. I'm talking underground habitats, artificial atmospheres, food grown in Martian soil, a completely self-sustaining civilization 34 million miles from Earth. This isn't science fiction anymore. This is engineering. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how we're going to pull off the most ambitious project in human history. Let's break down the 7 most insane facts about the plan to colonize Mars. First, why Mars? Why not the Moon? Why not Venus? Why not build massive space stations orbiting Earth? Here's the thing. Mars is the only place in our solar system that has everything we need for a permanent settlement. It has a 24-hour day, almost identical to Earth. It has water ice at the poles and underground. It has an atmosphere, thin but usable. And it has soil with the minerals we need to grow food and manufacture materials. Venus, surface temperature of 860 degrees. The Moon, no atmosphere whatsoever and 2 week-long nights. Mars is the Goldilocks option. Plus, gravity on Mars is 38% of Earth's. That's enough to prevent the bone density loss and muscle atrophy that happens in zero gravity. But here's the real reason Mars matters. It's our backup plan. One asteroid impact, one supervolcano, one global catastrophe could end everything on Earth. Which brings us to fact number 2. The technology exists right now. SpaceX's Starship is the game changer that makes everything possible. In 2026, Starship is the largest rocket ever built. It can carry 100 tons to Mars. 100 tons. That's equivalent to moving an entire house across interplanetary space. And it's fully reusable. Every previous Mars mission cost billions because the rocket was thrown away after one use. Starship lands itself and flies again. The plan calls for sending cargo missions first. Starting in 2028, uncrewed starships will deliver power generators, life support systems, mining equipment, and construction materials. By the time humans arrive in 2030 or 2031, there will already be habitats waiting, power running, water being extracted from ice. This isn't landing and hoping for the best. The first crew, probably between 6 and 12 people. Engineers, scientists, medical doctors. They'll stay for 2 years before the return window opens. Which brings us to fact 3. Surviving on Mars is wildly more difficult than you think. The atmosphere is 95% carbon dioxide, and the pressure is 1% of Earth's. Step outside without a pressurized suit, and your blood literally boils. The water in your tissues vaporizes. You'd have about 15 seconds of consciousness. Then there's radiation. Mars has no magnetic field and barely any atmosphere to block cosmic rays. Colonists will receive radiation exposure equivalent to getting a chest X-ray every 5 days. The solution? Live underground or pile Martian soil on top of habitats. 3 meters of dirt blocks, most radiation. The first Mars city will look more like a bunker than a suburb. Food is another massive challenge. You can't farm outdoors, but engineers have developed closed-loop hydroponic systems that recycle 98% of water. Martian soil can actually support crops if you add bacteria and nutrients. Experiments in 2025 successfully grew potatoes, lettuce, and wheat in simulated Martian conditions. Water comes from melting subsurface ice using nuclear or solar power. Then electrolysis splits it into hydrogen and oxygen. Oxygen for breathing. Hydrogen for rocket fuel. This is crucial. Making fuel on Mars means return trips don't require carrying all their propellant from Earth. It drops the cost by a factor of 10. Fact 4. The first permanent Mars base will be built using materials made on Mars. Shipping construction materials from Earth is impossibly expensive. Martian regolith, that's the technical term for the surface dirt, can be turned into bricks, concrete, and even glass. Heat up and compress it. NASA and several private companies have designed massive 3D printers that use local materials. They can print an entire habitat structure in 30 days without human supervision. The first city design calls for interconnected domes. Each dome houses 50 to 100 people. They're connected by pressurized tunnels, so you can move between sections without suiting up. Power comes from nuclear reactors and massive solar arrays. Mars gets about half the sunlight Earth does, but without clouds or atmospheric interference, solar is actually really efficient. By 2040, plans call for a population of 1,000 permanent residents. By 2050, 10,000. These aren't just scientists. We're talking families, teachers, engineers, doctors. Children will be born on Mars, the first true Martians. They'll grow up in lower gravity, develop differently, adapt to conditions we can only imagine, which raises massive ethical questions. But that's a topic for another video. Let's talk about the economics. Fact 5. Mars colonization will cost somewhere between $100 billion and $500 billion over 20 years. That's actually cheaper than you think. For comparison, the United States spent over $2 trillion in Afghanistan. The International Space Station cost $150 billion. Mars colonization is expensive but achievable. And here's where it gets interesting. Mars has resources worth mining. Rare Earth elements, platinum group metals, materials that are scarce on Earth but abundant on Mars. Eventually, Mars could export resources back to Earth or to orbital manufacturing facilities. The colony becomes economically self-sustaining, even profitable. Tourism is another revenue source. By 2045, commercial flights to Mars could be carrying wealthy tourists willing to pay $10 million for the trip of a lifetime. Fact 6. The biggest obstacle isn't technology or money. It's biology. The human body isn't designed for long-duration space travel or low-gravity environments. The 6-month journey to Mars causes bone density loss, muscle atrophy, vision problems from fluid pressure changes, and increased cancer risk from radiation exposure. Scientists are developing artificial gravity systems, pharmaceutical interventions, and genetic therapies. We're literally adapting the human body to survive on another planet. In fact 7, this is happening, not in some distant future. Right now, the technology is real. The plans are drawn. The rockets are being built. Within your lifetime, humans will walk on Mars. Within your lifetime, cities will rise on another world. You're alive during the most pivotal moment in human history. We're becoming a multi-planetary species. That's not hype. That's reality. And understanding how it works makes the universe feel less like a distant mystery and more like our actual future. If this blew your mind, smash that like button and subscribe. We make the universe accessible and mind-blowing every single week. Join the Wizard crew. The plan to colonize Mars isn't just about survival. It's about what humans do best. We explore. We adapt. We build impossible things. And Mars is just the beginning.